We hope we are going live.
Indeed, indeed. And there we are. It is working fabulously. Sorry about the delay, kids. StreamYard had a little technical hiccup, but it looks like we are there. And Martz, can you confirm you can actually see us live and in person?
Give me a second.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent.
Oh, good.
We are live.
And in person. Jolly good. Happy Tuesday. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I think Facebook didn't want to play with us this morning or something. But I've been thrown out of better joints than this, folks. I'll have you know.
Dragged out.
Dragged out, yes, by the ankles, yeah. But yeah, anyway, I hope you're all in fighting fit and ready for another high-class soirees. I sounded like Miss Bouquet.
Indeed. So, yeah, Liverpool, as we know, the home of the Beatles, which we'll be talking about a little bit today, had a great week and weekend with the Eurovision Song Contest. Don't know if you guys watched it, but it was a great time for our fair city, and for our art galleries were packed and our restaurants were packed and everything. And a lady who knows a lot about art galleries and art and photography and even supermodeling is our guest today, as you will see by the crawl. We are thrilled to welcome live from Nashville the fabulous, gorgeous birthday week girl, Nancy Lee Andrews.
Come on down.
Hello.
Hello, sweetheart.
You gorgeous, big, guiling creatures.
Oh, thank you. The check's in the mail. Thank you.
Or do you
I can
take
use
Venmo? We all could.
Yeah. Do you take Venmo or Medicare or whatever? Oh,
Medicare for sure. Thank God we have Medicare.
Indeed.
Oh, yeah.
So happy belated birthday and welcome to birthday week, the rest of birthday week.
Yeah.
I know. Isn't it crazy?
I know.
I don't know where the time has gone, but I've gotten so many best wishes for my birthday, and last year was a big one, and this year is 1 year later, so it's like, man, big whoop.
Wow. Well, you know, you only hit 60 once. You'll be able to get your bus pass in 5 years, right? As they say.
A bus pass, yeah.
Well, in England, in Liverpool, you get your bus pass.
When you're 65, you get a bus pass.
A bus pass, yeah.
Oh, well, I've got about 30 years to go.
Yeah,
of course.
Don't we all?
Silly of me, yes.
Don't we all? What was it? Dame Edna Everidge once said, "Oh, thank you." She was on the Michael Parkinson show. "Oh, darling, thank you for the compliment on my rinse and my skin. Yes, I'm approaching 60 from the wrong direction."
God, he was fabulous, wasn't he?
Oh, was he? Yeah.
I know.
We've been watching a lot of old retros, yeah.
Me too. So quick. So quick.
Amazing, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
a lot of our viewers, of course, will already know you from being part of the Beatle family. Say hello, Nancy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello, my Beatle peeps. How are you?
But I wonder how many of these people know who was your matchmaker in years gone by.
John Lennon introduced me to Ringo.
Oh, now there's
do tell.
Yeah. Do tell. Yes, go on.
Yes. He was with May Pang at the time, and he was on his Lost Weekend. And my ex-boyfriend, who was the great bass player, Carl Radel, had played on a few things with John. You know, and that's how I had met John. And when I broke up with him and moved to Los Angeles, he said, "Well, you just come and hang out with us. We'll protect you." I don't know. I guess he thought I was going to be jumped by a bunch of wolves. But so he was working on the Pussycats album with Harry Nilsson.
Okay.
And they had Peter Lawford's house is where they were all staying.
Santa Monica, right?
We've heard about that from May.
Oh,
and and I was working as a publicity person, the West Coast publicity person for David Bowie, for Tony DeFries.
Wow.
For Main Man.
Yep.
And Tony we were in the middle of breaking Diamond Dogs tour. We're breaking David Bowie into America. Wow. So I was on my way I had a few hours, and May goes, "Oh, come on down to the house, because there's a big party." It was Mal Evans's birthday. Oh. So I went down to the house at the beach before I went out to the Greek for David Bowie's big night. And I was walking by the sunroom, and it was Jesse Ed Davis and Jim Keltner. A bunch of the boys were playing poker in the sunroom. So I walked by and Jesse had said, "Nan, come on in here and play poker with us." And I went, "Oh, okay." And I saw that there wasn't much room for me to sit in. So Ringo scoots over and he grabbed a chair and he said, "Sit by me." He said, "We'll play the same hand." And I went, "Okay." So I sat there and he was so charming and so cute and so
Adorable. Funny and charming.
funny. Yeah. And he kept, it was like high school. He just kept touching my arm, you know, and going, "Oh," and I'm going like, I think he's got a crush on me or something. I don't know. So I played a few hands and then I had to get up and leave.
Right.
So about a month or 6 weeks later, John calls me and he said, "Well," he said, "I'm at the Beverly Wilshire. Why don't you come and meet us and bring my car?" Because John would leave his car, he and May, when they went out of town, they would leave their car in my garage. So I would take the car and wherever they were, go and meet them and go to the studio, have dinner, whatever, hang out. So I pulled it, and the car, as I'm sure you know, was like a Barracuda and it was filthy. The inside was pristine, but the outside, John liked it to be dirty, so he wasn't conspicuous.
Yeah.
Right.
So I pulled up under the porte cochere at the Beverly Wilshire Hotel, and this guy looks at me and he goes, "Nice car." And I went, "It's not mine." So I go up and knock on a door, and Ringo opens the door. And I went, because I was thinking on the way up in the elevator, I go, "Yeah, John doesn't stay in these posh hotels. What's going on?" And Ringo opened the door. And I went, "Oh, hi." And he said, I'm your poker partner." And I went, "Yes, you were."
Yeah.
And then in the background, I see John going, and I'm going, "Oh my God, I'm being set up. I'm being set up." Is what it was. So he goes, "Well, come on, we're all going to go downstairs and have dinner in the El Padrino room. And then we're going to go to the studio." And I went, "Oh, okay." So I just sort of tagged along, you know, and then years went by. You know, we wound up living together. We wound up traveling the world together. I just fell for the guy because he was so
He's
cute.
absolutely. Yeah, I know. When you know, people in the old days used to say, "Who's your favorite Beatle?" And it'd be, you know, Paul or John or, you know, or George. And then Ringo would always come last. And Ringo was always the one as a kid growing up with them to be sort of like, well, brothers and uncles. Ringo was always the one who sort of, when we'd go visit them in Surrey, took time with me. And he was, even though I was a kid and there was no axe to grind, he couldn't, you know, have me go work for him or run errands or anything. He was just always really cute, curious, childlike, funny,
Yes.
charming. You know, he would get down on the floor and play like Lego.
Yes, exactly.
There was no level he couldn't communicate on.
He would do that on a lot of Brandy as well.
Well, yeah, there's that. But thank God he's sober now. That's a good thing.
Oh yes, he is. It's so great, so great. So many years.
Yeah,
I'm glad, because I hope it took care of his manic depression, because that was really the other side of all of that.
Yes.
What did you do?
Well, and you know, you grow up, obviously, you've obviously been to Liverpool and the Dingle, and you see these side by each houses, and they were all living in postage stamp sized places. And then all of a sudden the world explodes and you're standing on the stadium stages with thousands of girls screaming at you.
Exactly.
We didn't have therapy in those days. We didn't have like, here's how you cope with this at 22 years old. And he was thrust in when Pete Best was thrust out. And so he was kind of the accidental Beatle, and he must have been pinching himself going, why me? You know, kind of.
And now we know why.
Well, he's a hell.
Because he was the better drummer, and
he's a hell of a drummer.
He was there. Yeah. We went by the Dingle. His mom taught me how to cook leg of lamb.
Oh, good.
And roasted potatoes.
Wasn't she lovely?
Elsie
was so adorable.
Yeah, she was smashing.
I mean, she completely embraced me, and was just precious, just really precious. And it's amazing how much he looked like his mother. You know, I have some pictures of the two of them together, and I go, "You got your mom's nose." You know, I said, "I haven't seen your dad, but you got your mom's nose." And he said, "Yeah." He said, you know, he said, the first thing I did, the first big money I got, he said, I bought my mom a house.
Yep.
That's
right.
right.
Good boy. Good
Yes.
boy.
Yeah.
Well, wasn't it Elsie who told you? Didn't she had a?
Oh, yes. She told me once that when Richie first started making money, he used to send her something, and she opened a post office account, and she used to put about 10 shillings a week or 10 shillings a month away in this. And she showed me the little blue post office.
Little
book
gyro
she had.
savings book.
She said, you know, if this little music thing doesn't happen, I'll have a few.
Oh, I'm saving money for you, son.
A hairdresser, yeah.
Yeah, she said
Hairdresser.
Oh.
when he got rich and started sending her lots of money, she was putting
Mhm.
£5 a week away, and she's like, you never know when he needs this for a deposit for that hairdresser shop he wants.
Oh.
I know.
And then they were touring on top of the world, and she was still saving £5 a week for Richie's savings account when it all fell
So
down.
adorable. So adorable.
Yeah.
But so normal, so Liverpool, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. He told me, he said, I had so much guilt. And I said, I had to buy my mom a house that had to be the first thing I bought. And I said, why? He said, because I would steal the coal money. I would steal it, you know. And I said, well, what would you spend it on? He said, oh, I'd see a ring in a window and I'd want the ring, you know, or I wanted money to go out with the boys. He said, so there was always like a little jar that had like, I guess you would know, they put coins, you know, and for the hot water and stuff like that, and the cold money. And he said, I would just take it. And I said, you were an only child brat. That's why.
Yeah.
That's why.
Well, another thing Elsie told me one time was that when they were really down on their uppers, if somebody had knocked at the front door, she'd tell Richie to go and lie on his stomach and look under the space at the bottom of the door. And if he could see a pair of boots, she wouldn't open the door in case it was the rent man.
Yeah. If it was somebody, a local neighbor in the slippers wanting a cup of sugar, that was fine. But if it was
fine, yeah.
Pair of boots, it might be the rent man. Yeah.
So your friend Leslie Ladd said, yes, I'm sorry, Leslie, we had a little snafu with our streamer, with StreamYard. They changed the URL on us, but glad you're here to visit with Nancy. Leslie is on.
Hello, Leslie.
That's great. We got, lots of people on from all over. Houston, England. Ooh. We haven't got Israel, Atlanta, New York, all over the world, all over the joint.
Isn't that great?
It's great.
It is wonderful. Technology's fab. So where did you actually grow up? I mean, you're in Nashville now, but you know, where was your roots?
I grew up between New Jersey and Alabama.
Oh, wow.
Lori Hediger, there's one of my girlfriends, my little eating, drinking buddy. Hi, Lori. I was born in Jersey City, New Jersey, and my mother was from Alabama. My father was from Puglia, Italian. Italy. And so my mother was a Baptist, my father was a Catholic, so I went to Catholic school.
Oh boy.
So I went back and forth. Every summer we'd spend a month in Alabama. And
in the fire, and then go to the brimstone.
Oh yeah. Praise the Lord. I know when it came time, I remember when I was in the first grade, you had to learn your catechism, right? So I went to my mother. I said, Mom, will you ask me this question? You know, who made us? God made us, blah, blah, blah. And she said, ask your father. She said, I'm not getting involved in that shit. Ask your father. She never went to church unless it was a christening or a wedding. Never went for Christmas, never went for Easter. She would stay home and cook. And she would say, I'm not going to get involved. She said, it's all a bunch of crap.
That's wild.
She thought the Catholic Church was a racket.
That is wild. So from that sort of, you know, religious dichotomy of upbringing, then how did it sort of land with your parents when you started your career as a model? Yeah.
Oh.
Well, my dad and mother, by the time I was 2, were no longer together. And then my mother married my stepfather and have a brother and 2 half sisters. of which just my one baby half sister is alive now. I said, you're coming to Nashville, but our mother died when I was 13 and she was like 3.5.
Yeah, I know.
So I didn't really have parents to go. I had my grandmother, my mother's mother, who pretty much raised me. She was just very proud of me. And in fact, in the book of Dose of Rock and Roll, I put a picture of her holding up a picture of me and Ringo. When we got engaged, the local newspaper went out and interviewed her.
Oh, sweet.
Because Ringo said, well, should we put it in the New York Times? And I said, yeah. I said, but we're going to put it into the Decatur Journal, too.
Oh.
In Alabama, because I want all those damn Southerners to know what's going on.
The family notices. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, how funny.
So how did the modeling stuff all begin? Like, what was your first assignment and how did you get discovered?
It's amazing. It's magical how our paths, they throw things in front of us and either you pay attention or you just, back off.
Yeah.
And I know you ladies know about this because there's always magic afoot, right?
Yep.
And my grandma, we didn't have a lot of money, and I put on my Sunday best with a little black hat, church hat. I was just out of high school, and my friend said, you should model. Before you start, I was accepted into NYU, and they said, before you go to NYU, you should try and see if you can get some work money in the summertime. And I was just a train ride away in Jersey across the Hudson River.
Right.
So I had my little manila envelope and one contact sheet my girlfriend's big brother took of me at the beach in a little gingham bikini.
Oh.
It wasn't even a bikini because it came just over the belly button with a little top.
How very Annette Funicello of you.
Completely. And my grandmother gave me $5, of which I had a piece of pizza, and it cost me, on the subway to get over there. And I was taking buses in Manhattan to go to this. I went to 2 or 3 agencies, but I never went to Eileen Ford because I figured I'd never get into Eileen Ford. I mean, that is like, Rome. I was walking along Madison Avenue in the 50s, and I caught my heel in something and it broke off. And there I was with like $2 in my pocket in the middle of Manhattan with a broken shoe.
Uh-huh.
And I was so upset, and it was hot. It was like the beginning of June, and I sat down on the curb and I started to cry.
Oh.
And as I'm crying and I'm looking at this heel, two feet come up next to me and a cane. And the feet have a pair of spats on them.
Oh.
And I look down at these feet and I hear this man's voice say, "Why are you crying?" And I look up and it's Arthur Godfrey.
Oh,
good grief.
Oh my goodness.
And I said, and my grandmother listened to Arthur Godfrey every day on the radio. I mean, she was Arthur Godfrey. So I went, "Oh, Mr. Godfrey," I said, "I've broken my heel. I only have $2 and I got it." He goes, "Calm down, come with me." And I figured, I'll go with him. It's Arthur Godfrey. What's he going to do? Molest me in the hallway? I don't think so. So I got into his office, and he was boxing up all of his stuff in his office. And he said, "Billy, come in here." And in walks Rochester, a black man with a white jacket on. And he goes, "Yes, Mr. Godfrey." He said, "Take Nancy Lee's shoe around the corner." This is when these things used to exist, around the corner to the shoemaker and have her heel fixed. And so he said, "Yes, sir." So I'm there. I go, "Well, Mr. Godfrey, are you moving in or are you moving out?" He goes, "I'm moving out." He said, "This is my last week in Manhattan." He said, "I'm retiring." And I went, wow. So I started helping him pack boxes. And then Rochester came back. Billy came back and he made us egg salad sandwiches. And we're eating that. I'm having a Coca-Cola. And I'm there for like 3 hours with Arthur Godfrey. And he said, "Well, let me see your photographs." And I handed him my manila envelope, and he opened it up and he said, "I'm going to call a friend of mine. She's in the modeling world." And he calls Eileen Ford. right then and there.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm going,
Oh, I got chills.
and I know I just got a chill too, thinking I haven't talked about this in a long time. And so he goes, Eileen, because they have houses in Connecticut, right? He goes,
Right.
Eileen, my niece is in town for the summer. He said, she's a pretty little thing. I think he said, it'd be great if you can get her some jobs working. And she said, oh, great, send her over to me tomorrow. So my heel is fixed. We hug goodbye, and he flags down a taxi, gives the guy $5 and shakes my hand. He said, here's my card. You call me no matter what. If you need anything, you call me. And I said, okay. And then he put something else in my hand and closes it and closes the cab door. And I open up my hand in the cab, and it's $100 bill.
Oh,
Wow.
And I went,
goodness.
he said, get yourself a nice little sundress. Because I was like in a little black and white houndstooth two-piece suit for church, and a black patent leather hat. And he said, get some sandals. And I said, so I'm looking down. I mean, I don't think I'd ever seen $100 bill at that point in my life.
Sure.
Probably
Like
not.
$1,000 now.
I know.
Yeah.
And I'm looking, I'm going, oh my God. So they dropped me off at the subway. And I go, because my grandmother said, you better be back before dark. You better be back. That's a Sin City. She's Baptist, right? You better be back. And I went, okay. So I go running into my grandmother's apartment. And I said, you're not going to believe what happened to me. And I put the $100 bills on the kitchen table. And I look at her, and she smacks me. And she went, what did you do for this money? I told you not to go.
Exactly.
I wait. I said, no. I said, Arthur Godfrey gave it to me. Bam, she hit me
Another
again. Don't you lie to me. And I'm going, no. Look, I've got his card. So she said, we'll see about this. And she dials on the phone.
Funny.
And he's still in his office. And he says, hello. And that voice. And she went, who is this? He said, this is Arthur Godfrey. Who's this? This is Mrs. Basuco. This is Nancy Andrews' grandmother. He goes, oh, I've heard so much about you. And she went, oh, Mr. Godfrey.
Completely melted.
Yeah.
He melted. And I went, I told you. So the next day, I go in to see Eileen with my little manila envelope, which is really tattered by now. I go in to see her, and she said, so. She said, I love Arthur. She said, we have cocktail parties and blah, blah, blah. And I went, oh, great. Oh, yeah, Uncle Arthur. And so, so she looks at my contact sheet, and she throws it over her head, and she goes, oh, the hell with that. Come on, let me get you going. We're going to get you a portfolio going. And I just started. I was in 17 magazine, Mademoiselle magazine. It was just started bing, 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 because Eileen Ford made it.
Only the biggest agency in the world.
Yeah.
So the funny thing is that every month or so, she reviews your portfolio, and I go in, she'd say, oh, how's your uncle? And I go, oh, he's good. He's good. And she's going, So about almost a year into it, I walked in her office, and she said, how's your Uncle Arthur? And I went, and I just took a deep breath, and she said, don't worry. She said, I know he's not your uncle. I said, how long have you known? She said, oh, about 6 weeks into it. She said, but I've been loving the way you handle it. And I said, you're going to fire me? She said, hell no, you're making money.
Oh,
wow. Went, okay, let's go.
Story.
Yeah.
So that was like, when he said to me, he said, I'm leaving, so I'm passing my baton to you, Nancy. I'm passing my good luck to you. And I went, 18 years old, and I went, I'll take it.
Pay it forward, yeah. No kidding.
Isn't it great?
That is truly amazing. There's our friend Dina is on. She's a previous guest also. She is a sports broadcaster Hall of Fame, multi-award-winning camera lady who's shot every Monday Night Football and Reagan's funeral, and I mean, just her resume is incredible. And she's also a great writer, and she's just literally said inches and seconds and broken heels. I mean, is that not the truth?
It's true.
That's fate. There are no coincidences in my book.
No.
Madam Universe will point you in the right direction if you're lucky enough to
pay attention
and not just yakking about me. What do you think about me? If you pay attention, it will find you. I
I
truly
had no
believe.
hesitation. I mean, even though it was Arthur Godfrey, it was like, and I was told, don't you talk to anybody, don't you do it right. You know, you're just like drilled as a kid. And I went,
Yeah.
it's Arthur Godfrey. I'm going to follow him
To
into
the end
that
of the earth.
building.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what's he going to do? Absolutely. Unbelievable story. Oh my
Well,
goodness.
you did ask.
Well, I
How
did.
you-
I did ask, and I got the best answer ever. Karen's saying a magical story, magically told. Indeed. Oh my goodness.
Yes. And again, just like John, you know, I mean, I had no eyes for Richie. I thought he was adorable. I thought he was cute. And I knew he was going through a hard time with Maureen.
Right.
And a dear friend of mine was kind of hanging with him and having an affair with him at that time, but
Right.
they had kind of broken. It was like, it was kind of messy.
Yeah.
And, but it was just so directly aimed at me that I said, wait a minute, I have to think about this. And plus I find him absolutely adorable.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, Ringo has got that same thing that President Bill Clinton has. You look at him, he's not the face that will launch 1,000 posters, but
No.
he puts you put yourself in a room with him and the world stops. I mean, I remember when the first time we met Bill Clinton, you just kind of are in this suspended reality. There's nobody else in the room. He is talking to you.
Oh yes.
I know. Charismatic. I had a conversation with him back in the 80s.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, he's never
and it was like, I'd sleep with him.
Right. I mean, he's never going to be.
I'd rather stay awake with him, actually.
It's like, he is charismatic and he's tall. I like that.
He's never going to be the Calvin Klein guy in Times Square, but boy, once he starts talking to you, and it's just like you feel like the elastic around your knickers starting to melt. Going, wait, what's happening?
Exactly.
My underwear's falling off. What happened?
I'm wearing a mini pad.
It depends.
Unless you've met Ringo, you don't really get it. You know.
Yes, unless you've met him in a personal situation, because he's really on.
Yeah,
he's very on when he's in a, you know. But when you meet him like over dinner or something like that, or in a personal situation, he's just charming and luscious.
He shares a birthday July 7th with Jimmy McCartney, my dad.
Yeah.
And so yeah, if they were ever around, they'd always be, you know, either he would call every year and wish Jim happy birthday, or if we were together, we were together. And so, you know, he grew up obviously with Uncle Jim, my dad, being sort of, you know, part of the extended family. And then they find out they share a birthday.
Of course.
Yeah. So there's always that whole thing. We always remember both Jimmy Mac and Ringo on the 7th of July, the Peace and Love Day. I think we need more peace and love days, don't we? In the world.
Well, yeah, really. Definitely more peace and more love. That's for sure.
For absolutely sure.
I mean, he's kept it going. He is the ambassador for peace and love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I wanted to ask you, Nancy, now that you're in Nashville and you're involved with a lot of country music artists, how does it work for you? Have you done a lot of album covers and portraits?
Well, I think Nancy's actually credited as being the person who took the Bedazzler, thank God, out of Music Row, right?
Yeah, and Fringe, and barn walls. Let's put that hat on. Let's get you up against a barn wall.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think when I came to town, at the first few months when I went around, they look at my portfolio and they go, "You took this?" And I'm going, "No, actually, I borrowed it. Of course I took it. What's the matter with you people?"
Right.
You know, and it was such an old boys club here.
Oh, yes.
You know, they said, "Well, you know, we're having if you can come and we're having, someone's been given a gold record." And I'm going, "I don't do grip and grin pictures." No. And I waited them out like about 4 months until I opened up my studio, and I made it very New York, put a psych in, and just people would come in and go,
"Wow,
where am I?" And I'm going, "You're in a studio."
Mm-hmm.
And then photographers from New York would hear about it, and they would come and rent it when they were in town when I wasn't shooting, because it was great. But Yeah, it was like once I got the women and the lighting, my fashion lighting, they were going, oh, God, this is great. And then I got the stylists to start bringing in designer dresses and gowns and beautiful suits and Ralph Lauren and, Chanel. And they were going, what is this?
Yeah.
Um,
No more,
then I
no more,
started,
no more denim and diamonds, right? And the white
no,
cowboy with the fringe.
yeah, no more cowboy boots on these girls.
No.
I took Susie Boggs and put her in a lime green satin suit and a pair of high heels, and she went, "Oh my God!" She was used to wearing poker, doing a polka skirt and a pair of cowboy boots,
Yeah.
and a little denim jacket. And I'm going, no, we're doing a little fashion here.
No, it is totally glamorous now, isn't it?
It is. It
Yeah.
is. And I like to think that I had the leg up and getting the glamour in here. And
Yes.
And then after the men started to see how great the women looked, then I started getting the men coming to me for that lighting, for that, to make them look handsome, and that started to be fun too.
You've done a couple of book covers too, haven't you?
I did. I did Billy Ray Cyrus's book cover. He was, talk about a hot man.
Yeah.
He's a man.
Yeah.
And I did Ruth Pointer flew down here, and I rented a fabulous house for us to shoot in. She came down. I did her book cover.
I love the title of her book. I'm still excited.
I'm still excited.
Did Marshall Terrell write that book?
I don't know.
Yes, Marshall was her co-writer on that.
That's right. I thought so. I've got a copy of it here that he gave me years ago.
And it's Terrell, by the way.
Terrell. I know. I always call him Marshall Terrell, which is wrong, but it's Marshall.
As long as you're calling him, it's okay.
Exactly.
It's okay, Marshall. The check's in the mail.
Well, I met Marshall when he was doing the Barbie McQueen book, and he was my editor on Does a Rock and Roll.
That's right.
He was working with Ken Mansfield on his book.
Yeah.
We
the
actually
Beatles, the Bible, and Bodega Bay, and they needed pictures of Harry Nilsson, and Ken said, well, there's only one person I know that would probably have pictures of Harry Nilsson. That's Nancy Andrews. And he gave him my number. God bless you, Ken. He died this year. And so Marshall called me and he said, have you ever thought about doing a book? And I said, no, I haven't. So within a month, him and the publisher were standing in my studio over a light box because it was film.
Yes.
And I put out sheets and sheets of 35 millimeter film, and they're going, oh my God, you have pictures of everybody. And I said, yeah. And so they said, we want to do a book with you. We'd like to do 2 books with you.
We were one of your early customers. We bought that book for Martin's Christmas present when it came out.
Oh.
So we did.
And in fact, I was just remembering, Marshall introduced us to you, didn't he?
Yes,
he did.
At the Santa Monica Airport at that Meekum.
Oh my God, at that Meekum auction.
That's right. That's where we first met.
That's you.
Originally.
Yeah. I keep thinking I've known you longer than that, but that was a while ago.
Oh, it was? Some
15
years. Maybe
even 20.
No, not as much as that.
No, not as much as 20. I would say probably like 2005, maybe 6. I don't know. It's funny how it all mushes together, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
Yeah.
Karen's saying it. Nancy's the story aside from the luck with the broken heel, being strong comes across in your stories. Taking the old boys club on.
That's my girl.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And Dina, our aforementioned award-winning cinematographer, she's asking, and I know there's an interesting story about this. Dina's asking from Palm Desert, what's your favorite camera and lens right now? But maybe you want to back up and talk a bit about who gave you your first camera, what it was, and the lens, and how
my first camera, I worked a lot with Milton Green. Great photographer. A lot of people don't know who he is. In fact, just as a sidebar, I got a phone call about a year and a half ago, and it was from England, and it was this woman producer, and she said, "Hey," she said, "we're doing a 3-part series on Marilyn Monroe. It's called Reframed Marilyn Monroe." It was on CNN. It was for CNN.
Voice, yeah.
Milton Green was the guy who took her to the beach in that big chunky sweater.
Oh yeah,
right?
She and he had a movie company where they did The Prince and the Showgirl. They did Bus Stop.
Great.
They produced that. Their companies produced that.
Wow.
So of course she dies. Now I was one of his muses. I did a lot of work with him. And I was always in the darkroom, and I was always asking questions. His wife was always feeding us. And finally he said, "Look, I'm going to give you a camera. Here's a camera." It was a Nickermat. And here's a 43 to 86 zoom lens. He said, "Go out and here's some film." He showed me how to load the camera. He said, "Go out and shoot. Just shoot Manhattan. Shoot, shoot, shoot." So I wish I had that film now, because I'd go on a shoot and I'd be shooting the photographers setting up before they shot me. And then shooting street prophets in Manhattan. So I brought the film back and we processed it, and he looked at it and he goes, he said, "You have an eye." He said, I think you have an eye for this. And he said, I would think about this. And he was right. I loved it. I loved it because I was always watching the lighting, what was going on around me, and the photographers were teaching me how to work with the light. And so that's pretty much how it happened.
And you shot the pictures in A Dose of Rock and Roll in your coffee table book with that camera, right? And that lens?
Exactly. Very good. Yeah. Almost everything, 90% of that book was shot with that camera and that lens.
Wow. You see the large amount of equipment that we got to lug around in the 80s and 90s and the thousands. It's like, it's just as much. Yes, the equipment is important, and a DSLR has mirrors, and an iPhone will never. It's okay, but it's an iPhone, right? If you're a photographer, it's like a Polaroid. You take the snap to see if it's going to work.
Right.
But you think about all the huge amount of hoo-ha, but if you just have that right moment, the light, the subject, and the glint in their eye, or whatever that is, all that magic has to come together. And you can have all the equipment in the world.
It doesn't matter.
No.
I used to say, give me a window and a bare bulb, and I will take the best picture you've ever had taken.
Interesting.
And it's true, but I used to have like 2 assistants to carry around all this gear and strobe units and blah, 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 going on location and in the studio.
Yeah.
But it was great, because when you're in Manhattan, you're hardly ever out on location. You're in a studio and you're creating an environment, and you're learning how to light and bend light. I loved it.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. Dina's saying a pure photographer and Nickermat. She's like, you don't hear that word very often, do you?
No, they don't exist anymore.
That is just absolutely wild.
Mm-hmm.
So you've also done, apart from your whole A, supermodel, B.
Hello, Debbie Martin, you cute little blonde girl.
Oh yeah. Hi.
She has a huge picture of Nancy's of Ringo. So you have another book which is the Ringo book, right?
Yes. After doing the Beatles shows for several years, everyone kept saying, well, we love A Dose of Rock and Roll, but God, we'd really just like to see pictures of Ringo. And I said, well, I've got thousands of pictures of that little guy. So I put together a small book of just personal pictures that I took of him, which I don't think you guys have one, do you? I'll have to send it to you.
No,
that'd be lovely.
I'll send it to you. It's I've got one right here.
Oh,
very cool. I love the rainbow, very 70s.
Yeah, it's very 60s.
60s, 70s. Yeah. Very cool.
But it's a sweet book of just pictures of him during our time together.
And it comes with a special gift, a frameable gift. Is it not?
It does. It's a limited edition, and it comes with, I don't know if I should show it. it comes with a picture of him with his head shaved, his eyebrows shaved, and his beard shaved.
Charming.
Just
choice.
Yeah, it's
it was a crazy time in Monte Carlo.
yeah. Well, see, there we go. Doesn't even look like him, does it, without his hair?
Actually, it looks like him when he was a baby, a little boy.
Yeah.
Some of those very early snapshot. It really does. I think
He looks
so.
like an alien with a neckerchief.
Oh, that's funny. But you know, he wears it well, actually. I don't mind.
He does. What I like about it is you can see how crooked his nose is.
Yeah.
It's sort of off to one side.
Oh,
I have Rosa book. She signed it for me at the Beatle Fest. Oh,
That's
thank
right.
you, Debbie.
There we go.
funny.
Well, that's another story that for another day. But I guess sunbathing in France and getting a hot beard and then going in for a haircut that kind of went wrong is not really what you want to do, is it?
Surprise.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild.
Wonderful times. He was a keg of dynamite when he went off. You know.
Oh yeah.
I bet. Yes.
When he went off.
Have you thought of writing a book about your life, or are you doing so?
I am. I'm in the middle of writing sort of a memoir right now.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure you must have tons of wonderful stories to tell, and some that you can't, of course. They're the best ones.
So Mark is our friend in Houston, who's always the first to buy everything. You can get the book through nancyleeandrews.com, or you can email Nancy's office at nancy@nancyleeandrews.com.
Email me. That's the best thing to do. Just email me.
Yeah,
And
email. So her assistant is nancy@nancyleeandrews.com, and they will connect with you and get you the book and so on and so forth. It's definitely a collector's item. It's definitely worth having.
Yes.
It's out of print. Everything is out of print, and I have maybe on both hands and a couple of toes, books that are left, except for the Ringo book. I have a bunch of those and prints.
Right.
My website should be up by the end of the month where you can buy prints.
It's actually up now so that they can find it's Bonnie. It's nancy@nancyleeandrews.com. She's asking if it's at nancylee.com.
Oh, yeah.
It's actually going across the bottom. If you wait for the ticker crawl to come back, Bonnie, you'll see actually the website, but the email address is the same, but it's nancy@nancyleeandrews.com.
Mm-hmm.
But
so
you're not just about rock and roll photography, right?
No. What about the Tennessee historical story that you worked on?
The State Museum.
This book, incredible. I don't have it available. I mean, it's a 780-page book on the war flags, the Civil War flags of Tennessee.
Oh, how
it is
interesting.
a magnificent scholarly book. They had been working on it for, 15 years. And my friend, who was Keg of Dynamite, he surely was, bless your heart. Oh, Gigi Wong, hello, darling. Aloha. My friend, who is the head of the Tennessee State Museum, she called me and she said, listen, she said, we've been working on this book. The legislature says we have to get it out in the next 12 months. She said, no one's been able to help to put it all together. She said, I think you can do it. And I said, Civil War? What are you, crazy? I'm a rock and roll chick. And she said,
that's a civil war of kind.
Yes.
The revolution. And so I said, she said, it's a book. And that's what I know you're good at putting together, a book. And so I said, well, let me research what I should be paid for that. And then I'll get back to you. So my husband and I went from New York to Chicago to Boston to Florida, to see what the prices were. And so I said, they're not going to pay that. It's the Tennessee State Museum. And he said, well, we'll hand it in and see what they say. And they said yes. And I went, now I got to do it.
Ask for more.
Cha-ching, right?
I asked for a lot, and they said yes. So what I didn't realize is that for 18 months I was going to be 80 feet below the surface of the street, working on this book in the museum.
Yeah.
3 floors down below the surface of the street. But it took me about 2 months to figure out how to do it, and working with the scholar, and I fell in love with him. What a brilliant man, and what an incredible. I think it's up for 2 awards this year. It's a magnificent book. It's a magnificent book, and I'm honored that I'm at the top of being honored with my name in it.
Yes.
And it's.
But I had to fight because all those little snooty. I know you're watching. All those little snooty scholars down there going, "Well, what do you know about Civil War?" And I go, "Oh, my great granddaddy was a general," and so in Alabama. So, but it worked out, and I'm very proud of it. It's a behemoth. It's a behemoth.
But you've also produced gallery shows in New York, Soho, Long Island, New Jersey, Los Angeles, Chicago, Atlanta, Phoenix, Tulsa, Germany, Nashville, Santa Fe,
and England,
and the UK.
England.
Yeah.
So I haven't done. I'm getting ready to do a small gallery show here in Nashville at the end of June. They called me and asked me if I would just do a small one for like 4 days, and I said, "Yeah, I've got a cache of prints that are in storage that I can just pull them out and throw them, hang them up, dust them off and hang them up."
Wow. Very cool. And where do you have a fixed date or time for that? Or we can obviously.
I don't have it yet. I don't have the exact date yet.
We'll stay in touch with you, because I'll push it out to our Teaflix family here, and then they can spread it far and wide.
Yeah.
Getting back to the Marilyn Monroe thing, I get a phone call from England, and I figure, they probably want me to talk about the Beatles, and I said, and they said, this is a Jessica Chastain is going to be,
I love her,
doing it, and Mira Sorvino, Ellen Burstyn, and I said, they're talking about the Beatles, and she goes, no, this is Marilyn Monroe, and I said, why are you calling me?
Yeah.
And they said, we're calling you because of your connection to Milton Green, because you were one of his muses. Right. And we're calling you because of your photography and your image, the way you see imagery and the way you see woman. And I went, I'm in.
Nice.
So there's no money. I said, I don't care. I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in. So all of these women had a specific place to talk about Marilyn, and they always came back to me to talk about her imagery and how she created Marilyn.
Right.
So I just loved it so much, and I'm all the way through all 3 episodes, so it's great.
Yes,
fantastic. And tell us more about that. So is it out yet? Is it published?
Oh yeah, it came out last week. It came out in 22.
Yeah,
and you can get it on demand on CNN.
Yes,
you can just go on your on demand, and it's there. It's in their archives.
Oh, I will go back and watch that.
It's brilliant. Absolutely. It's brilliant because
Absolutely.
it's all from a woman's point of view. Women produced it. Only women are in it.
That's amazing.
And then I came up with a little nugget they didn't know. I said, because through Milton, he said Marilyn used to get little small marbles and put them in the tips of her bra. So that she always looked excited. I went,
oh, I must remember that, except that beyond my kneecaps.
In my day, it was ice cubes, but then it looked like you were nursing, so that didn't really work out.
Yeah, take the eraser out, and put it in there.
Oh yes, off the end of a pencil, indeed.
I didn't like the little metal bits around them, though.
Well, there's some people that are into that, but what are you going to do? Oh my Lord!
Well, they're into a lot of things, but that's another show.
Yeah,
we should do the X-rated show.
Yes,
yeah.
We're down, absolutely. Yeah. But are you allowed to sort of scoop what you told me the other day about Chicago, or is that not out in public yet?
Yeah. You mean what happened when I was there?
What's going to happen in Chicago?
Oh, Chicago. Yes, we can talk about that.
Excellent.
There is, where's my notes on that? There's Yep, that's Bank America. Let's see. Anyway, there is a show they're doing. They're putting up, and they're going to be sort of putting huge wraps of photo text on the side of buildings.
Wow.
And it's all female photographers who are in rock and roll, who are Lynn Goldsmith.
Gosh.
Oh, so many women photographers. I think they even got a couple of Linda McCartney's, and they're wrapping them on the walls going down a certain street, like where Lollapalooza is, and the main.
Oh, how great!
And it's going to be up for 3 months.
Wow.
It goes up in the end of June.
Wow.
And it's going to be like a walk of fame, but huge, like 14 feet high.
Yeah.
So like Christo huge. I think Christo
Yeah,
was the first person to wrap building. I mean, he just used pink plastic, but he was the first sort of artist that I was aware of, an installation artist to use the street and the outdoors and the buildings as the actual canvas per se.
Yeah. Now you see a lot of fabulous art on the side of buildings, and you see buses are wrapped in them, and you know.
That's right. Yes.
And so, do you have photographs in that upcoming exhibition?
I have two. I have one of Ringo as the Pope from Ken Russell's Listomania, which is a great photo. And then I have Bob Dylan, which I took of him backstage at the last waltz, where he's so happy and looking so cute and smiling. You can almost see his molars, which are very, very
unusual. Yeah,
you don't see that a lot, do you? Bob Dylan smiling is not a thing you see every day.
No.
And so I think
Mark Lindsay says I'm giving away all my secrets. No, I'm not.
Not all of them.
Oh no.
I got lots more.
And so when is this happening? What's it called? Do we know any more details yet? Or?
Yes. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can pull up my.
It's the end of the summer, right? I think August.
Yes,
September.
it's going to be from July, August, and September.
Great. In downtown Chicago. I just loved the title of the exhibition, which you told me. I just thought that was brilliant. And I'm going to start taking the word here and turning it into her.
Oh, herstory. Yes, herstory.
Herstory. Or didn't you say it was from her to eternity?
It's from her to eternity, exactly.
That's
what they're calling it. Let's see.
I love that. And so there's obviously live music events going on at the same time, right? And this is kind of the stage of the downtown area.
Lollapalooza will be happening right across the street from it. I'm looking here really quickly to see if I can find. I think I sent you some of it in an email.
Yeah, we talked about it the other day. Anyway, it's going to be called From Her to Eternity. It's in Chicago, July, August, September.
Yes.
Yes.
And if Albert lives near our friend Albert, who's on, he lives out a little bit west of Chicago, near Chicago. And we've got some great rock and roll patron friends, Pat Roxworthy and other folks on from Chicago today. So
here we go.
When you find it, we'll share it far and away.
Have it right here. Okay. Okay, here we go. It's called Through Her Eyes, The Women Who Photographed Music.
Beautiful.
This July and August at the Chicago Museum of Contemporary Photography at Columbia College. 2 music festivals are booked. Pitchfork Festival during July 14th. The Lollapalooza Festival, August 3rd through 6th.
Great.
And it's going to be on Wabash Avenue, across the street from Grant Park, where the festivals are all held.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah. So, Through Her Eyes, From Her to Eternity.
That's great. That's great.
I should remember this stuff, but I'm really bad.
Yes, you're busy. There we go.
I told my husband, I said, I married you because you could remember names.
Is that all? Is that all there is?
That's not all there is.
I can remember faces. I'll remember faces if it's like takes place, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. I'll say, I know you.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, Nancy, I wish you'd be back at the Beatle Fest in February. My birthday weekend, 40 years anniversary of the Beatles, right? 30 years. Oh, well, Debbie, me too. Talk to Mr. Rapido.
Yes, we'll think about
Ireland. Hello, Ireland.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's Brandon McKinley. He's talking to other folks. Yeah, we've got literally worldwide viewers, and we will be putting this on YouTube very shortly, and obviously share away our Teaflix channel on YouTube. And so people who don't have the time to watch live or aren't inside Facebook can catch us anytime on the replays on YouTube. And I just want to thank you so much. I know how crazy busy you are for making time and sharing your incredible stories. I can't.
Oh my God, is it over? Is that it?
Can't wait to read you. Well, unless there's any, I mean, I'm just gobsmacked with, woo, unless there's anything else you think we missed that, a story you want to tell.
I'll come on again. When my book comes out. If you'll have me, I'll come on again.
Great idea. Yes.
We would love that.
I'll send you 2 copies so you can read it together.
Cool. And if you think about ever getting your publisher to create an audiobook, in fact, speaking of Marshall Terrell, Martin is up there working. We had Marshall go in a recording studio with our producer friend Otto, and record his voice sample. Martin has created a clone of Marshall's voice and is producing a book without Marshall actually having to stop what he's doing. So it'll be an audiobook. Marshall Terrell, and Martin is producing his book from a voice clone.
God, how incredible.
We made with McCartney.ai, which stands for audio intelligence. And we've just opened the verifiedvoicevault.com to protect people's recorded voices from deep fakes and all of this nonsense that's going on out there in the universe.
I know.
So if you'd rather verbally tell your stories, have your publisher, we'll have a conversation, because the Nancy Lee audiobook could be just pop in a studio in Nashville, and plenty and we know plenty, and send us a voice sample. We'll clone your voice and produce a book, and we can talk business all about that whenever you're ready. Because I think people would love to hear you tell the stories.
It's really interesting. The first 14 chapters of my book, I went into my friend's studio and re-recorded me reading them.
Oh, great. Okay.
I have those.
So you have a lot of samples already.
Yeah. Great. And plus, it's one of his part of it is done in my mother's voice, which is very kind of Southern, and the other part is in my voice, which is kind of like bitchy rock and roll girl.
You said that.
Oh wow! Well, everybody's really digging today's show. Thank you so much, and you can reach out.
Hello, Martin.
I see him there. He's up there. And,
he's up there.
He's up in the gods in the cheaper seats. Yeah.
Yes.
Martin. Oh, Martin.
Yeah, I don't know. Hold on. Is he up in the? There he is, up in the mirror.
Look at that room. That's so great.
You need to sing "Don't Cry for Me, Argentina" from up there.
Then we get a copyright strike.
Then we get a copyright strike. You're absolutely right. That is great.
You don't want to do that. But I want some of your potato thing that you make. What do you call it?
My
like
schnitzel?
A pancake, but it's a fried boxty.
The gem. Oh, boxty. Yes.
Boxty. That's what I want. I want a bite of those.
Absolutely.
I can't refuse a potato.
Oh, I know. We had a dear departed friend from Nashville, actually. She had one of those old metal signs from a general store, and it just said, potatoes would go great with that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much again for your time. And reach out to Nancy for her out-of-print exclusive books at nancy@nancyleeandrews.com. And you can always find her through us. We can point you in the right direction to our wonderful, gorgeous, beautiful guests.
Get me through get me through them.
Yeah, okay, through us. All right, fine. You know how to find us.
Either way, if you can't get me through me, you can find me through them.
And I'm very easy to find. Ruth at McCartney.com.
And Angie at McCartney.com.
There we go.
There we
are. Absolutely. All right, Ken.
We're so shameless.
We are. Well, that's
absolutely 2 shameless hussies. We are.
Well, 3 if you can.
Three.
Three if you
Okay,
count Nancy.
come on down, like I said.
All right, kids. Well, you behave yourselves till next Tuesday. We'll see you here hopefully at 11:30, StreamYard willing. And big round of applause and bottoms up and Mrs. McCartney's teas cups up to our beautiful, gorgeous birthday girl guest today.
There's no vodka in this at all, Nancy. Not
BS.
at all.
Liar! You're a liar.
This is
This is just straight vodka out of my
Oh.
tap.
That's good.
Yeah, I don't drink much. I spill most of it.
You know, I think the older we get, the less we really want to. I don't like it either.
Yeah.
Mm.
No, not the thing. I'd rather have.
Angie, happy belated Mother's Day.
Oh,
Yes,
thank you.
That's very sweet. Yeah. Well, this
All
was
right,
great.
girls.
Everybody's loving it.
This
All right,
is
sweetie.
fun.
Well,
Okay, darling.
thanks for coming on, and we will definitely be in touch, and maybe we'll
Yes.
do something fabulous in Art World. You never know.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Thank you for having
Bye-bye.
me.
Ciao.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.